이거 300만 원입니다, 여러분. 근데 이것까지 기버웨이로.
As long as you're strengthening that area, not using it as a crutch, you're training yourself how to use it. You have to train yourself how to use a belt. You just don't put a belt on and start training. You have to train your body to understand how to build the abdominal pressure. Mm-hmm. You wish you could be as small as Paul is on all the drugs you're taking. You couldn't be 220 no matter what you're doing. You know, I feel like Frank Zane won because he was small. So it gave the chance to smaller guys to believe that they could win. Look at Frank Zane; he won. He's only 185 pounds. Wow. So I think it was a move made by the IFBB. He's one of those guys. He does 5, you do 5. He takes it as much as you take it. He doesn't just cheer you on. He's into it. Mike, when he lost, it killed him. Yeah. Basically,
he stopped doing bodybuilding, right?
He stopped everything. He lived on the street. 92.
92.
Yep, 92.
Peak of his career, right?
Yeah, the peak of his career. He's like the only person that's like, you feel like he's not real. He's almost like a...
Even though you see him in person.
Yeah, you see him and everything. He just seems like a figure. John Cena. John Cena trained at this gym. Before that, he was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he was a bodybuilder?
Bodybuilder, yeah. So every time I get a customer, I lose a customer because it lasts forever.
네, 팟캐스트 시작에 앞서서 제가 지난번에 총 3번의 에이블짐 프리미엄 월구독제에 대한 이벤트를 진행했는데요. 당첨자분들이 다신 댓글들을 한번 읽어보고 시작을 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째, 에이블짐 프리미엄 월구독제 이벤트 라이브 건에서 이제 당첨되신 분입니다. 레추1님. 트포이님 안녕하세요. 영상 너무 항상 잘 보고 있습니다. 보디빌딩에 관심을 가지며 처음으로 접한 유튜버가 트포이 영상이었는데 4년이 흐른 지금까지도 계속 보고 있네요. 군대에서 웨이트를 처음 배우고 이 운동을 너무 사랑하게 되어 수년 동안 지금까지 쉬지 않고 바쁘더라도 매번 짬을 내어 해왔던 것 같습니다. 취미에 불과하지만 그래도 하루하루 종이 한 장 쌓아가는 보디빌딩의 매력에 푹 빠졌고 그 과정에서의 지식과 알매, 트포이 채널이 정말 언제나 함께했던 것 같네요. 사실 집안 형편이 그렇게 좋지 않아서 헬스장 다니는 것이 부모님께 손을 빌리는 것도 마음이 불편해 학교를 다니며 아르바이트를 해서 버는 돈으로 동네 헬스장에 계속 다녔습니다. 한 번에 몇 개월씩 끊을 비용도 어려워 매달 회원권을 사서 지금까지 운동하고 있습니다. 부족한 몸에 운동 경력이지만 제 소원이 있다면 좋은 헬스장에서 좋은 기구들을 써보며 운동을 해보는 것이 소원입니다. 비싼 프리미엄 헬스장은 여태 엄두조차 내지 못했기에 언제나 꿈꿔왔던 것 같습니다. 절대 불쌍한 척하는 건 아니지만 친구들 중에 해머를 쓰네, 사이벡스를 쓰네 할 때 얼마나 부러웠는지 모르겠습니다. 이렇게 해서 레추원님께 첫 번째 월구독제 프리미엄 상품이 갔고요. 두 번째는 헌터 라브라다 팟캐스트에서 당첨되신 분입니다. 안녕하세요. 트포이님 항상 방송 잘 보고 있습니다. 에이블짐 프리미엄 월구독제를 사용해보고 싶습니다. 현재 본가는 서울이고 대학교는 지방에 있어 헬스장 2개를 끊어야 되는 상황입니다. 월화수는 대학교를 다니고 목금토일은 본가에 돌아옵니다. 대학교 주변에 있는 헬스장은 학기 초에 끊어서 다니고 있는 상황이고 본가 주변에 에이블짐이 있지만 지금은 학생이라 여유가 되지 않아 아파트 헬스장을 이용하고 있습니다. 보디빌딩을 너무 사랑하는 마음을 다니고 있지만 이번 기회에 에이블짐 구독권을 사용할 수 있으면 너무 좋은 경험을 할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 항상 보디빌딩 좋은 소식들을 업데이트해 주셔서 감사합니다. 이렇게 해서 이재근님께서도 헌터라브라다 팟캐스트에 이렇게 에이블짐 관련 댓글을 남겨주시고 프리미엄 월구독제를 가져가셨습니다. 마지막 강고님과의 팟캐스트에서 댓글을 남겨주시고 에이블짐 프리미엄 월구독제를 가져가신 동플라츠님의 댓글입니다. 에이블짐 체크리스트 어느 지점을 가든 외산 머신 위주로 야물딱지게 세팅이 잘 되어 있는가? 예스. 상주 트레이너가 많아서 전반적인 시설 관리가 잘 되어 있나? 예스. 먹튀 사태에 대중들이 불안감을 느낄 때 바로 구독제 시행하여 먹튀의 위험으로부터 자유를 획득하였는가? 예스. 인스타, 카페 등등 관리자들이 직접 나서서 회원들과의 소통을 통해 고객 만족을 높이려 신경을 쓰는가? 예스. 사실상 보디빌딩 미디어 원탑 트포이 형님이라면 스폰서 선택에 신중에 신중을 가할 텐데 많은 체인점 중에 에이블짐이 그것을 뚫었는가? 예스. 모두가기 광고 아저씨가 그 와중에 에이블짐 스폰서는 또 받아들여졌는가? 예스. 국내 헬스장의 평균 퀄리티 상승에 큰 기여를 했는가? 예스. 리퍼, 고물 중고 제품을 신제품인 척하는 문제로부터 자유로운가? 예스. 이렇게 해서 동플라침님까지 총 3분이 에이블짐 프리미엄 월구독제를 얻어가게 됐습니다. 여러분들 앞으로도 팟캐스트에서 에이블짐과 함께 프리미엄 월구독제 서울 전 지역에 있는 40개 지점을 자유롭게 이용할 수 있는 프리미엄 월구독제 이벤트 행사를 많이 하니까 여러분들 관심 가지시고 참여 부탁드립니다. 카딜로 팟캐스트를 보시기에 앞서 카딜로님이 이번에 대대적인 역대급의 기버웨이 행사를 진행한다고 합니다. 어디서요? 지금 제 트포이 팟캐스트, 머슬 팟캐스트에서 진행한다고 하는데 정말 여러 가지 제품들을 이제 구두로 말씀을 해주셨지만 지금은 이제 준비된 제품들은 요 정도밖에 없지만 제가 이제 요청을 하면은 그 품목들이 가능할 때 다 이제 여러분들을 위해서 기버웨이 행사를 진행할 수 있다고 합니다. 지금 간단하게 말씀드리면은 지금 여기 보이시는 톰 플라츠 보디빌더 전설의 보디빌더 톰 플라츠의 사인 벨트 플러스 제이 커틀러 커스텀 벨트의 사인 벨트 로니 콜먼 도리안 예이츠 커스텀 벨트와 그 다음에 또 한 번. 자, 여러분들 스쿼트 유니버시티 아시는 분들 있을 거예요. 계정 중에 거기서 이제 콜라보로 만든 역도화 플러스 핏 바이퍼 선글라스. 이거는 핏 바이퍼는 제가 나중에 이제 카딜로님과 하겠지만은 스포츠 아웃도어 선글라스입니다. 그리고 가격 300만 원에 하나는 카딜로 이태리 수제 가죽 명품 가방까지 지금 이 팟캐스트 댓글 이벤트를 통해서 여러분들 기버웨이 행사가 진행된다고 합니다. 하지만 또 쉽게 갈 수는 없겠죠. 그래서 이 팟캐스트를 얼만큼 정독하고 시청했는지 보이는 여러분들의 감상평을 취합을 해서 총 20명 정도에게 기버웨이 행사가 진행될 거고요. 보디빌딩 역사의 산 증인인 카딜로님과 하는 팟캐스트 많은 시청 바랍니다. 네, 팟캐스트 오늘의 게스트 바로 미스터 카딜로입니다. Mr. Cardillo, please introduce yourself to South Korean, my subscribers.
My name is Steve Cardillo. I'm the CEO of Cardillo Weight Belts, and that's who I am.
So I assume that a lot of people wonder that why did you decide to come visit South Korea?
Well, first off, it's been an amazing trip. You and Freedom, Sue has treated me very, very well. I appreciate it. It's a beautiful country. It's one of my favorite countries now. But when Sue reached out to me and wanted to do the collaboration with Freedom, it was a perfect opportunity. It was like a perfect marriage. I've over the 38 years, I've been approached by a lot of people to do a collaboration on clothing, but I never really felt comfortable with anybody. But when Freedom came to me, and it's in South Korea, and this is a good business area for me, beautiful country. I do a lot of business here. It was just like a perfect marriage for me to join up with you guys, and here we are today.
So Cardillo belt is not just a lifting belt in South Korea. It is culture, and I assume that a lot of people who is watching this podcast also know what Cardillo belt brand is. So we really want to hear about the when did you start this business?
I was thinking about it in 1986. I used to be a competitive powerlifter.
86.
Yeah. So in 81 to 86, I was competing in powerlifting. I won the drug-free nationals. At the time, the belts were very stiff and rigid and uncomfortable. So everybody kind of thought like that was the way they're supposed to be. But I came from a hockey background, and like baseball, you want your glove to be soft and broken in. I felt the same way about my belt. So with that being said, in 86, I had the idea. I started designing it. And then in 1987, I made it officially. I started the company in 1987.
1987 is almost like 38 years.
38 years. Yeah.
That's wrong.
Long time.
I've seen Hulk Hogan, who is a pro wrestling star.
Yes.
He's wearing the Cardillo belt.
Yes.
Back in like 90s or something.
Yes.
How did you connect with the pro wrestling star at the time?
When I first started the business, there was a gym near my home that all the wrestlers, once they landed in Boston, they would go to the gym to train, and then they would go to the wrestling match that night. So a friend of mine, his name was Pat Catino, he owned the gym. So he would call me and say, "Hey, Steve, the boys are over here. Hulk's here today. Randy's here. Come on over, size them up. They want to train with you." So at that time, I was at the peak of my strength. I was strong. So I would train with them. I'd kind of annihilate them in the strength department. So they enjoyed working out with me, and then I would size them up for the belts, and they would tell another wrestler, but it all started from Pacatino calling me to come over, size the guys up, make the belt, and then went on from there. Then I became good friends with Shane McMahon. He was in college in Boston at the time, and became very tight with the family. So I made the belts for the WBF, the World Bodybuilding Federation.
WBA is like more like entertaining
Yes.
things. Yeah, I know that.
When they tried, but I was a big part of that movement with making the belts for all the athletes. So it was a good time. So I was at Titan Towers a lot, training with the guys. Mike Tyson was there. Met Mike Tyson there, one of the WrestleManias. So I'm kind of going off on it, but that's kind of how the Hulk was the first. Him and Randy Savage, they were the first main ones that I made it for. So they used to wear it into the ring. So you would see, like at that time, I had Michael Jordan, but you never saw him in the gym training. You only saw him on the basketball court.
Yeah.
So it was the first time that the belts were on television. So television in the wrestling is still, to this day, wrestling is still big part of mine. At this WrestleMania, The Rock whipped Cody Rhodes with my belt. So it kind of went full circle. And back in the WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan in The Hulk whipped The Rock. So the whole thing came full circle with the belts this year. So it was a big infusion for me to make this happen. And I've been friends with and loyal to Hulk and The Rock close to 30 years.
Funny thing is, a lot of people, including me, thought that Cardillo belt is from the bodybuilding industry because a lot of champion bodybuilders wore that too. So
Yes.
we didn't know about that.
That's how I started, was bodybuilding. I was into powerlifting, into lifting. So I would one at a time, I would place the belts on all the guys out in Golds in Venice. So I would fly out to Venice, size up, and then the same thing. They would tell another friend, and then it just went exponential on the people that wanted the belt. I was the first one to make it comfortable. I was the first one to do customizing. So it became the staple. Now today what happens is people feel like they have to turn pro to get the belt. Like they're waiting to get pro to turn the belt. And my thing is, get the belt and you become a pro quicker. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's been built. It was built in the bodybuilding world for sure. And then it branched to wrestling.
I assume that there was definitely like you said, the before Cardillo, there is a belt and very stiff and hard.
Yes.
Yeah. So lifting belt has been our industry for numerous decades. That
Yes.
means we have another brand before the Cardillo.
Yes.
How did you break into all those circumstances?
It was basically just like a plain leather belt. That was basically the start of the industry. Used to have a 6-inch back. Some of them when you used to go back and do the press, they don't do that anymore. So the belt, and then the power belt was for powerlifting. So there was just two companies. I mean, there was a few companies, but it was just the basic belt. It was just uncomfortable. And I wanted to be in the industry, and I wanted to be comfortable. And since I was strong, I had the latitude to push it out there and get it on the right people.
Mm-hmm. So there is no social media. That means people talk about your belt.
Yes.
Mouth to mouth.
Yes.
It's kind of funny things. These days, social media is a very big things.
Yes.
That means you can spread out your brand.
Yes.
Maybe easily. Even though quality wasn't there.
Yes.
But using the social media, getting better result.
Yes.
But back then, it wasn't right.
No, it was magazines.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of friends, a lot of photographers. So I would send them. You ever hear of Bob Kennedy, Muscle Magazine?
Yeah.
I was friendly with him, so he would call me and he'd want belts for the athletes, for the photo shoots, for the covers. And I would go to New York, I'd go to California, I'd drive to Montreal, Toronto. I did a lot of groundwork. I'd do the trade shows. I was the first ones at the Arnold. I think they did like 30 years at the Arnold, placing it on people. So to answer the question about social media, it's kind of, it's not necessarily easier, but anyone can get, basically what's happening today, anyone can get a belt from Pakistan.
Yeah.
So the belt is imported. If you look at it, it looks fine, but when you get it, it's not any good. It's not made well. So the illusion of it looks good, but at the end of the day, it's really not a good belt. So I watched the cycle of all of these people getting these belts, and I know 38 years that ain't gonna last. But when you have 20 of these people doing this and they take 1%, that's really 20% of the business is going all over the place. But it will never last. It will not last.
Is that
These companies that do these belts.
is that the reason that you stick to made in USA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how the brand was made.
So that means every Cardillo belt in South Korea is made by the USA, right?
USA, handmade in the USA.
Is there any specific reason that you stick to making the belt yourself?
The company, my partner, is a company that's been in business over 100 years. They started making industrial linesman equipment. The guys climbing the telephone poles. So I approached them because they were the best at the quality of the leather, the workmanship, just the whole thing about it is with it. So I don't want to change. There's no reason to change. When I did, we'll talk later, with Reebok, I had a nylon belt, which was kind of low end, but my brand is high quality, guaranteed for life, and I stand behind it. So it's just been built on loyalty of people and that like the belt. Now, one person will have a belt and the way another one, because that lasts forever. So every time I get a customer, I lose a customer because it lasts forever. But they get it as a gift. It's a big gift giver, and this is the big time of the year for me, Christmas. But everyone wants to give somebody a gift, one of my belts.
Before the Cardillo, is there any idea of making the belt with customized belt? Before the Cardillo?
No, nobody was customizing.
Wow.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't a thing. I kind of brought it.
How did you come up with those ideas?
It's just everything like when the equipment, gloves, hockey equipment, when you had custom stuff.
Yeah.
It was like it was cherished. So I said, why can't I bring this into the bodybuilding world? It's the only thing that's real personal. Like you change a T-shirt, you change your shoes, but once you break in your belt. I have stories people diving into their burning cars to get their belt. When something gets stolen, it's the belt. They don't care about anything but the belt. Because once it breaks in, you know what I mean? So it just becomes a piece of them. So when I used to make them for a lot of the supplement companies, they know like you can wear a T-shirt or, whatever, but you got to keep changing them out. The belt is continuous. It's going to be on that person the whole time.
So I've seen a lot of athletes, not only the bodybuilding stars, from the other sports stars wearing the Cardillo belts.
Yes.
So, can you name some of the biggest name you made for
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Bones Jones.
When was it, Michael Jordan?
92.
92.
Yep, 92.
Peak of his career, right?
Yeah, the peak of his career. What happened was there was a company called Zubaz, an apparel company. So I was working with them, and then they invited me out to Chicago to bring some belts to the team. So I went out there. I got to meet him. I gave him the belt. He was happy, but he just took it, and we said, hello, and that was it. So then, like a year later, my nephew at the time was like, he's like 12, 13 years old. He was at the mall, and he calls me and says, Uncle Steve, you'll never believe Michael Jordan has your belt on. It was in the book Rare Air.
Ooh.
So that's still to this day I feel the greatest athlete to ever, wear my belt.
Wow.
Yep.
Michael Jordan considered as the GOAT of every sport.
Everybody, yeah. I've made LeBron James, I've made Magic Johnson's, but Michael Jordan is my favorite.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We can't imagine that how famous Michael Jordan is because we didn't live in 90s.
Yes.
Of course, I live in 90s,
Yes,
but I was so
understand.
baby.
Yes.
So how was it? Yeah.
He's like the only person that's like you feel like he's not real. He's almost like
even though you see him in
yeah,
person.
you see him and everything. He just seems like a figure. It's surreal. He's pretty amazing.
So when did you start to promote your belt to the bodybuilding industry?
So 87, I would go to California. I would go to the trade shows. There was a gym that I still train at. It's called Hard Knocks Gym. He was a big supporter of bodybuilding and powerlifting. So I would drive 50 minutes to bring one belt to him. And he was my first customer. That was the first gym I got to train at. So it was John Cena. So
John Cena.
John Cena trained at this gym long before he competed long before he was in the WWF.
Yeah.
Excuse me, WWE. Before that, he was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he was bodybuilder?
Bodybuilder, yeah. He won. It was called, I forget the name of the contest, but he was always won and always he supposedly at the time was drug free, but he was ahead of his time. So he was very young, maybe 10 years younger than me, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. And the guy Dave who owned the gym would say, "Hey, why don't you size up John?" So I made John's belts all the way through too. So he was another big one.
Even before he started
Before he started, he was a bodybuilder, very good, a great athlete.
Oh.
Very, very he was another one that was, when you met him, you knew he was special, even young. Even before he competed, you know when you're in the presence of someone who is gifted, and you could just tell he had a swagger about him, that he was gifted.
I was also the big fan of the pro wrestling, so I remember the day the John Cena face off with the cut angle.
Yes.
That was the beginning of the John Cena, right?
Yes.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
But like we talked before, I've made him for so many people. Like
you can't even
I can't
remember.
Even, it's like
you can't even name it.
You name someone, and it's easy to say who haven't you made it for? That's so many people.
Yeah. So I heard that you are a teacher of the high school?
Junior high school.
Junior high school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you did a high school teacher and Cardillo belt owner at the same time.
Yes. So probably at least 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years.
Yeah. From 87 to 97. Yeah. So at the time, the job was like 7:30 to 2:30.
Yeah.
So when I had a break, I'd get on the phone, make the phone calls, position. I was always. And then as soon as school got out, I would get right to the business of doing my weight belts, either driving it here, preparing what I was going to do. So I would work 7 hours as a teacher, and then 8 hours part-time, but it was a full-time Cardillo weight belts. Mm-hmm. So then 97 came along, and I was approached by Reebok. Mm-hmm. So I had to make the decision to stop teaching, so I could focus totally on Cardillo and Reebok.
Reebok is actually a really big company.
Yeah, Reebok was number 2. At one point when I first signed, they outdid Nike 1 year when they came out with the Instapump shoe. The 1 year, it was only a short period, but they were always on number 2 at the time. So it was Nike, Reebok. So it was a big move for me, and they came to me.
So after Reebok deal, you decided to stop doing your
teaching.
Yeah.
Yep.
But before then, I assume that you are running the very successful business.
Yes.
Yeah. But you didn't quit the job.
No, because basically it was, I considered it like a part-time job, which it wasn't. But every dollar I made, I put back in. Mm-hmm. So I gave the belts to the athletes. At the time, you'd say $125. In 1987, that was a lot of money. But I knew as I make the money, I had to put it back in to promote my product. Mm-hmm.
You're still doing it?
I'm still doing it, yeah. Yeah. It's a little different. Like back then, it was a little different than it is today, because with social media, it's just, people, it's kind of like a free-for-all. I don't know where it's all going, but back then it was a little more personal. Mm-hmm. Because it was, and again, I started my business, so they kind of knew that it was kind of coming out of my pocket. It was a belt, but they knew like the significance that I had to, basically, I made money, I had to give it back out.
So South Korea, the fitness industry has been growing like since not many years, like since like 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
But 38 years of business is crazy. Seems really crazy, and I can't even imagine. So, you've been doing like this for the 38 years.
Yes.
You've never been exhausted or very
No, I keep the passion. I enjoy what I do. Look at this. I get to come out here, right? Be with you people, go to a beautiful country, meet you guys are all great. We have fun. It's not work to me. I train. It's not work. And I've never felt like I've ever worked. I just, I'm passionate. You and I, like I said, even at nighttime, you kind of know I'm not sleeping. You know what I mean? You're up in the morning, I'm up at night. It's just that passion. I hope every day I get up, I hope that I don't lose that. I don't want to lose that. Now training becomes like, I get up in the morning and you have to train, but it's like a mindset. Now it's got like an hour. It takes me an hour to get into it, knowing that I have to do it. But once you do it, you do it. You know what I mean? So I know that feeling of possibility of losing it a little bit, but the business I haven't, and I don't want to.
I saw you being trained by Tom Platz, great Tom Platz.
Yes. Yeah, that was amazing. That was one of the best leg works I ever had.
It seems very intense.
Yes.
So, can you describe how was it?
Yeah, so Tom and I, we do a lot of collaborations on belts. For him and his wife. His wife Cha, very nice. We have a good business relationship. So I wanted to do the television show with him.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it all up. We did a limited edition belt, and we taped the show. And at that time, he wasn't. He hurt his hip, so he couldn't really train.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, let me run you through a workout. So at that time, I was having, I got a little aggravation in one of my knees from training so much. So I had a doctor, his name is Dr. Welter, out of Regenerous, and he gave me stem cell to my knee.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 months, I did the protocol, easy. But that was the first day that I took the Band-Aid off and just went for it. and knock on wood, and my knee has been still great. But that was the true test. I said, I'm going to go for it. And he put me to the test. And it was amazing. Obviously him cheering you on. It's like, in the bodybuilding world, it's like, going out and play 21 with Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that trained with Arnold. It's pretty. And when I was training, you'd have pictures of him on the wall, even though he's maybe 5-6 years. You're 15 years old and he's 21 and he's just making his mark. So he was a huge influence on my training.
Oh, is he still famous in States?
Very. Yeah, big. He's extremely. His belts sell out right away.
Even in South Korea, we know Tom Platz a lot because the way he approached the training
Yes.
is more than intense.
Yes.
He always say that you can do 5 more reps.
5 more reps, exactly. Yes, he's very, very, very intense. But he's not one of those people that, when you see someone and they're training someone or they're training with someone and they're telling you 5 more reps, keep going, and then once their turn, they stop. They don't go 5 more reps, but they can tell you to do 5 more reps. He's one of those guys. He does 5, you do 5. He takes it as much as you take it. He doesn't just cheer you on. He's usually into it.
I remember the day the Tom Platz did how was it? 500-pound squat, 23 reps.
23 times. That was with the WBF.
WBF.
Yeah, so he was working for Vince McMahon.
Really?
Yeah, and he was in charge of he was in charge of the WBF.
He was actually IFBB Pro Bowl. How could
he separated? So this was in 1992.
That was
1992.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing track of all the years,
Yeah.
but he quit, and Weider didn't like that, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Then he went after Weider athletes. So then it was really bad. And he worked for Vince for 2 years.
Sorry, he brought the Weider athlete to WBF?
Yeah. So he would ask him, and some of the guys would do it, but once they did it, they were taboo. They were taboo by Weider.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there were 13 of them, and right before there was a bunch of, they wanted to do drug testing. There was a lot to it. Lou Ferrigno.
Wow.
So Lou Ferrigno was going to be, he was the main guy. There was the lead. It was Stridon. He was the champion. Gary Stridon.
Gary Stridon also competing at the WBF.
Yes, so he was the biggest name to jump over to the WBF. So he won it the first year.
He was highest place was second at the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah. So he was their top athlete, and you had Mike Quinn. There was a lot of guys. And then at the time, I was training with Paul DeMeo, Quadzilla. Yep. So they were interested in the Tom was interested in him, so I took Paul out to meet Tom at the WPF at Titan Towers, and they talked about a deal. They were going to do it, but Paul was a little scared, knowing that once he goes there, your chances of potentially winning the Olympia or something big was gone. So he didn't take the deal.
So the idea of WBF is the combination of the bodybuilding stage and the entertainer things,
the
right?
costumes.
Yeah, costumes.
Yeah.
So that maybe I just misunderstand, but 500 pounds squatting with the 23 reps was the
exhibition.
Oh, really?
It was an exhibition done in Germany to spread the word of the WBF, to get the excitement. So with FIBO, they did it with Fred Hatfield, who was a powerlifter who squatted 1,000. So he was Tom Platz's assistant. So they had a squat-off contest for the most weight and for the amount of reps. And then Tom, that's when in 92 I made his belt, the lime green belt. He got off at 100,000 for that belt. So I made the belt for him, and he squatted the 23 reps, and that was a big push for the brand of the WBF.
That was I assume that that record is still unbreakable.
Unbreakable, yeah. He at the time he was I think he's probably maybe like 220. And there's a powerlifter that has broken it, but he was in like 300 pound. He's not a bodybuilder. No bodybuilder has ever done it. Or will do it.
These days, not many bodybuilders still doing some pre-weight squat.
Yes, exactly.
They do a lot of machine.
Yeah. So he was, and then the way he did it was, he went up to I think close to over 700. Worked his way up, and then when he got to 525, it felt like nothing. He said.
Wow.
So he squatted like over 700 before he did the 500 for 23 reps.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
That was his strategy, right?
Yes, that was his strategy, and he was strong. Like he was a strong lift. He's a strong person.
I personally think that he should won at least one or two Mr. Olympia. He looks 82-1 versus Franco Colombo.
Yes.
Rest in peace. But obviously, I introduced that show to South Korean subscribers, and a lot of people shocked.
Yes.
How could Franco Colombo win against Tom Platz? Even in South Korean bodybuilding fans don't understand what's going on. Politics there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Franco Colombo was Arnold's partner. And even in business, I would say, even if Tom took second, people still love him. It doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't mind. Like, of course he wanted to win, but he's more famous for taking second because everyone feels he should have won. So he's really been going longer than anybody because of his taken second rather than first.
Have you ever talked about with Tom Platz for that 82 Mr. Olympia? Have you ever talked about him?
Yeah. But he was smart enough to understand, kind of the play. Of course, he was disappointed, but Mike Mentzer did not.
Mike.
Mike, when he lost, it killed him.
Yeah.
Basically,
he stopped doing bodybuilding, right?
He stopped everything. He lived on the street.
Really?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it's just he was very sour. By not winning.
There was a 1980 Mr. Olympia. The Arnold Schwarzenegger won this show, and Mike took fifth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't remember what he took, but he didn't win, and he didn't like it.
I just hear from the some kind of YouTube video, so maybe I don't know what exactly happened. But 1979, Mike Mentzer was second place.
Yeah.
And then prior to the Mr. Olympia, a lot of people expected him to win the show, and he placed fifth.
Yep.
And that killed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Arnold was the chosen one,
Yeah.
and he did the sport right. Look at him. Look what he's accomplished above and beyond bodybuilding. So he was driven, and he was the right person at the time. I think for professional bodybuilding.
So that means you understand what business is.
Yes.
Even in the bodybuilding
Yes,
world.
back then I really wouldn't. I didn't. As I got older and got in the industry more. Now, hindsight, I look back and realize, like I feel like Frank Zane won because he was small. So who would want to compete in bodybuilding if you had to be huge? So it gave the chance to smaller guys
Yeah.
to believe that they could win. Look at Frank Zane; he won. He's only 185 pounds.
Wow.
So I think it was a move made by the IFBB. This is just me thinking it business wise. It was a great business move for them to have Frank. He was great. He deserved it, but he wasn't a mass monster. He was aesthetic, right? So, but it gave everyone the feeling, oh, I can compete. So I think that's kind of why today they have classic physique, they
Men's
have
physique.
fitness,
Yeah.
they have all these, they have physique. So you don't have to be a giant to be
Yeah.
able to be good in the sport. But the bodybuilding, as you know, the freak is about bodybuilders.
The true bodybuilding fans still love the men's open bodybuilding, but
Yes.
I totally agree that the men's physique, classic physique, those kind of divisions make fitness industry grow more and more.
Yes, and it's more attainable to more people. More people can not look as good as those guys, but carry that muscle mass and look good. You know what I mean? But to be that Mr. Olympia or to be the top 20 pro bodybuilder, God has to give you something to start. You know what I mean? Like just like with Paul DeMeo, right?
Yeah.
So he was a great person.
Yeah.
So in the days, like he'd be, we trained at the gym all the time. So people would say to him, like when he came off the drugs for a cycle, he would lose weight, but he would get down to like 220. So they say, oh, Paul lost all this weight. Look at Paul. I say, you wish you could be as small as Paul is on all the drugs you're taking. You couldn't be 220 no matter what you're doing. He's 220 off the drugs. But everyone would kind of, that's what happened with Paul. People just jealous of him. He was young. He was great. And they weren't just jealous. It's sad. He was a great person. It was crazy because I built the character of Cardillo weight belts was a guy deadlifting, and Paul was my model, and he fit into the vision of the drawing. It wasn't like I had a person then did a drawing. I had a drawing, and he went into the.
Wow.
He looked just like my logo. So he was my first athlete.
Wow. I didn't know that Paul DeMeo worked with you. I didn't know that at all.
Yes.
So I assume that you've been working with numerous famous sports star.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So I really want to know about the memorable experience of you.
In bodybuilding.
Any
just-
type of sports, I guess. Yeah.
Oh God.
38 years.
Oh God. Michael Jordan, obviously, right? When Reebok approached me to collaborate, you're talking the biggest people in the world wanted to collaborate me make the weight belt.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty memorable. A lot of I used to train with Randy Savage,
Randy Savage is a pro wrestling
pro
star,
wrestler.
right? Yeah.
Yep, Macho Man.
Yeah.
So before I'd be down Tampa. He'd call me. We'd train for 2 weeks together. So we trained. We ate together. It was that feeling of like 2 weeks of just training with someone. I used to train. There was a Steve Collins, a boxer. He was the WBF champion in boxing, super middleweight. So he would live with me. He would train. I trained him in the weights. He would train at the Petronellis, which is the trainers. So it was like 2 months of actually training his lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all kind of highlights that you remember. It all comes down, I think, a lot of the training, like training with these people, getting to hang out with these people, they're just friends of mine. It's not like I don't look at them as celebrities. They're just people because we have that connection.
That's why you call all of this having fun, not a
Having fun.
business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's all it is. We're just friends, and they know they can trust me. Yeah, the trust is important.
I remember the day I bought the first Cardillo belt, and like 10 years ago.
Yes.
So actually, I bought Cardillo belt because I watched the Dexter Jackson training with the Cardillo belt, and which looks super cool because before then I consider the lifting belt is like something that we need for the PR
Yes.
or max weight.
Yes.
But Dexter Jackson wore
All
the
the
belt
time.
all the time,
Yes.
even in his arm workout.
Yes.
This kind of looks cool
Yes.
to me. Yeah.
Yes. And mentioning him, another one is who wears the belt, like he wears it out to dinner almost, is Jose Raymond.
Jose Raymond, yeah.
He's another one. He's a good friend of mine. We train together, and
He living in the Boston, right?
Yeah, he lives in Boston. Sometimes if he gets to take his belt off, he goes out to dinner. So, but Dexter Jackson, mentioning him, like I've dealt with probably thousands of athletes, and he's right up there in like the top 5 of respect, appreciation, loyalty. He's just all in one. Just a great person. So you pick the right person to like.
Actually, he's my goat.
He's your goat. Well,
Yeah.
he's the right one. I'm gonna make sure he knows that you're a big fan. He's a great person.
He replied my you tag me
Yes.
and I replied it
Yes.
and he replied it again.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a very honorable moment.
Yes, he's a great person.
These days, I've seen a lot of female athletes,
Yep.
even in just normal girl, wearing the Cardillo belt,
Yes.
or just something like that.
Yep.
But before then, 80s and 90s
Yep.
and early 2000s,
Yep.
lifting belt is for the men things.
Yep, but I made them for Corey Avison. I made him for Linda Murray. All of them back then. Rachel McLeish. All the women back then. You know, they were they weren't the norm, but obviously they were Olympians and they trained heavy. They understood the purpose of the belt and the value of the belt.
So, what do you think? When is the moment that female athlete wearing the lifting belt more than ever? Like
Social media.
social media came up.
Yeah, and then the women, you had the bikini coming in, and I made the belt specifically for that size girl. Like I'm probably the only one that makes an actual woman's weight belt that fits a woman.
They have a
So the social media, I think, that's what went exponential when it came to women. Like one person would say, "Oh, it's okay to wear a weight belt," and you could see it more than back then. Like in the magazines back then, they didn't really shoot too many women with the weight belt.
Cardillo is like start at the late 80s.
Yes.
So that means you've been through a lot of history, like
Yes.
magazine generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Television.
Yeah, television generations.
Yep.
So did you prepare the social media generations before social media came up? One more.
Yep.
Because a lot of old brand,
Yep.
so sometimes collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah, when social media came up, but Cardillo is still strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say like if I was to start a business now, I don't think I could do it. Yeah, I couldn't do it because you can look at my belt and look at someone else's belt and you really don't know to look at it. It could look the same, it could look comfortable, but it's really not comfortable. You know what I mean? So by me doing the grassroots and building it, and what I did was when I made money, I put it into advertising. See, today you can just put your stuff on social media and, ooh, here we go. I think it's going to be all over the place, right? But back then you had to actually invest money to advertise. So it was totally different. So if you weren't willing to work another job or whatever it took, like I did, I took all my money, put it back in. So I went into magazines. Some magazines, it was men's magazines that I would model for, and they would give me free advertising. I did bartering. I did whatever I could to make my brand what it was. So every opportunity. So hindsight, a lot of people are going to run out of content eventually,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How can I run out of content? I have 38 years. You know what I mean? My content, it really can't be. You know what I mean? My social media has grown because of the type of training I do. So I
Yeah.
went viral before COVID. So when I went viral, my social media went exponential. So I kind of I wear the belt, and that's kind of how I do my marketing because everyone else wears my belt. So they're doing really my marketing for me. I'm just showing that you can wear a weight belt, and you know what I mean. You can wear a weight belt, and it's okay.
So you've been made this empire like not only the longevity,
Yep.
so but also the successfully. So I really want to know about you. Like you're the type of the person like plan on everything or just follow your instinct.
I plan it out.
Yeah, you plan it
I
out.
plan it
Everything.
out. Yeah. You know, things you can plan, and some things don't happen, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal. I visualize. I don't dream. I'm not one. Oh, I'm going to dream about being great. I visualize what I want, and then I make it happen. I say dreaming is when you're asleep. There's nothing happening. I'm not a dreamer. I'm a visualizer. I visualize what I want to be happening. I make it happen, no matter what it takes. I align myself with the right people, like you and Sue. You're just good people, and you work together to make something work. I visualize meeting someone, and I end up meeting that person because I do whatever it takes to get to meet that person.
So can I ask what did you visualize on this South Korean business trip?
Honestly, above and beyond you guys taking me around and showing me and just a good time, I kind of visualized, this being successful. I'm going to make it successful no matter what. You know what I mean? So, but it turned out it was exactly what I visualized and expected it to be. We still have more to go, so there's more in my vision. But up to this point, everything has been great. And just communicating with you, I knew you were a good person. So I knew that you and I would be able to communicate, and I would be able to tell you things that, like I said, I honestly, I get asked to do a lot of podcasts, but I don't do them.
Wow.
I don't do many
I'm
podcasts.
really honored.
I just feel comfortable with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate like you and Sue took great care of me, and I appreciate that. And I it's just a good feeling, and I gotta have that feeling because I don't really let too many people in my circle.
Ah,
Very small. Like I don't trust. It's not trusting. I don't I don't really hang out with too many people. I'm
mm-hmm.
really serious until you guys kind of got to know me. We kid around and we had fun, you know what I mean? But I'm real serious. I'm all business.
Oh.
But we didn't have but when I'm comfortable and I can be myself, and that's kind of with a TV show. I have fun with it. So, but I'm really quiet basically.
No.
I don't talk too much.
So I really want to ask about these things. This thing is about the bodybuilding. So you've been in this industry for like 3 decades, 80s, 90s, and early 2000, and this generation. So
Yes.
do you think these generations of bodybuilders,
Yep.
bodybuilders of these generations, look better than the 90s and early 2000s? Your opinion?
My opinion is I get older. Like I like Steve Reeves. Like I look at the guys like you see like a lot of as you get older you'll see the cycle, right? So as you become like these guys that are 270, 280.
Yeah.
They're basically muscular obese. Now as they get older, the skin is going to be looser,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not going to be that version of what they were. So like your chest, you got this big chest. Eventually that thing's going to sag.
Yeah, yeah. I know
So
what you're saying.
so as you're younger, I would direct to be more aesthetic. I wouldn't go for the big chest. I would go for a developed chest. You know what I mean? I would work it differently because as you get older, these things are all going to change on you. So when you're going up to 270, you can't stay there. So you got to come back down to 200.
Yeah.
So you really, you're a big person with muscle rather than a fat person with fat, but the skin is stretching and all this stuff.
Yeah, I've
all
seen
this stuff
that.
happening.
Yeah.
So now as I get older, obviously when I was younger, I wanted to be that, I wanted to be that freak. Everyone wants to be that freak, but the cycle as you get older, you look back and say, oh boy, I wish I didn't train my chest so much because I don't want man boobs.
But this generation of the bodybuilders doesn't think about the
They don't think
future.
about the future. Yeah, because it's just, and I understand that, but if you listen, like I listen to people that are a little further ahead of me, so I know with the direction I'm going.
So we can see a lot of old school bodybuilder
Yep.
looks still good
Yes.
at their 60 or 50,
Yep.
late 50.
Yep.
But that means after I heard about your stories, do you think that bodybuilders in these generations can follow those kind of no?
No. Like you had Robbie Robinson, right?
Yeah.
He looks great now, but like he competed like 200 pounds.
That's why his skin is not
Yes, he lost weight. Obviously, like even Tom Platz, like he still looks great.
His legs are still separated.
Yeah, if you see it when you watch the show,
Yeah.
that his legs that was only 3 years ago. That he was in his 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the secret to the longevity is you don't get yourself too freaky or try to stay that way too long because you're going to get old and it's not going to be good.
Not only the hair spots, you mean the skin is not as
It's not elasticity.
tightest, yeah.
Exactly. And the muscle, your muscle is going to stop. You don't want it to hang. You know what I mean?
eventually they had to cut down to like 200 like after retiring, but at that time the skin looks
Yeah.
not as before.
Exactly. And then, I'm going to keep getting on the chest, but these, you're going for this. Like I used to want to put the can on my chest, right? Put the pencil in and hold it out. That was the goal. You know what I mean? But now you go, oh, God. You look at Steve Reeves and you say, look at, Steve Reeves, when he passed away, he still looked good. You know what I mean? You got the Chris Bumstead who, aren't too freaky. You know what I mean? So later on, he won't have these problems like the freaks.
He knows it maybe.
Yeah,
he
you know what I
knows
mean? So, but it is what it is. It's, nothing against it. Like I said, I wanted to be that, but as you get older, then you say, okay, I would change. I would do things differently.
In terms of business wise, as you get I would say older, as you
Yep,
get
yeah,
older,
yep.
do you think any regret what you've been doing at the younger age?
Yep.
Do you have any regret?
No, I was extremely strong when I was, younger, right?
Yeah.
So I did stupid things being strong. Like I would do good mornings with 405, 405.
Good morning.
With 405. I would, stiff leg with 405 off a bench. A lot of things. Like I would deadlift and I couldn't even move the bar, but I would still give the effort. And I wouldn't be able to move it, but I would still be pulling. And you say, "Oh my God!" Thinking about it now, you could have got really hurt. I would at one point. I was there was a Russian philosophy where you don't even warm up on the squat. I would go in at 180 pounds, squat 500 for 5, no warm up. I would just go load the bar and do 500 for 5. That's not good. You know what I mean? So as you get older, you become smarter. So the regrets would be. Luckily, I did not get hurt, but I could have got extremely injured doing stupid things like that. And then you see all the people on the social media kind of doing stupid stuff. You get hurt. You get hurt. Like I fell 5 years ago by accident, tore my rotator cuff. So once you have an injury, rotator cuff, excuse me, once you have an injury, then you have to work around it. So you have a lot more potential of getting hurt if you do stupid stuff. And then when people talk about wearing the weight belt, you weaken your core, that's not true because I do everything I can to strengthen my core. And then I want to prevent an injury by wearing my weight belt. I wear my weight belt for everything. My core is strong. I'll core with anyone. I still have a strong core.
These days, a lot of South Korean athletes claim that the gym newbie, like someone who start weightlifting at the first time, doesn't need any shield like lifting belt
Yeah.
and wrist strap. They don't need it.
Okay.
As you get the
More advanced.
better advanced,
Yep.
then you need a lifting belt. Those kind of claims are going on
Okay.
In South Korea.
Yes.
What do you think on that?
Okay, so from basically almost day one,
Yeah, day one.
like I started training probably like around 11 years old.
Yeah.
And then my uncle he was like my mentor. He just got out of prison. He was in Alcatraz. So he got out of prison. The first thing he did is he bought me a weight belt.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So from day one of really training, I wore a weight belt, but I always trained my core. I would do ab work. I would do everything. As long as you're strengthening that area, not using it as a crutch, you're training yourself how to use it. You have to train yourself how to use a belt. You just don't put a belt on and start training. You have to train your body to understand how to build the abdominal pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like a tool. It's like going on, I think, playing baseball without no glove. Okay, I can catch the ball, but if you have a glove, you make it easier.
Yeah.
You can still catch a ball with no glove,
Yeah.
but, it's assistance. It helps you prevent you from getting an injury, I feel. So, knock on wood, I haven't had any back injuries, and I've done a lot of stupid stuff, but I wore a belt from day one.
You recommend?
I would recommend teaching someone, but again, I wouldn't wear it. When I wore it all the time, it almost like had it on like to keep your back looks bigger, your belt is tight. It was looks and performance. But today I would always. My nephew, I wrote a book about him. I'll show you that later. I have another nephew, another generation. I would change the training differently. A lesser of the beginning of the belt, but always implementing the belt into the lifts. So to answer your question, I think if you're really serious about it and you want the longevity, I think a belt is. I'm an example. My nephew, by the time he was 16 or 15, he was 3-time powerlifting national champion.
Mm-hmm.
Wore a belt. I trained him, and till this day, healthy. He's still healthy. There's no back issues. But you can get hurt wearing a belt, obviously, if you do stupid stuff. But it helps you. I think it helps you.
I totally understand.
Prevent injury, and not because I'm selling it. It's just I believe in it, so I can tell you I can sell it. I'm not saying I like it because I sell it. I use it. I'm an example of what a weight belt in the longevity can do.
So now we're gonna introduce some products
Okay.
that maybe we can do some giveaway to our subscribers.
Whatever you
So
want.
first
Okay.
thing,
Yep.
I want to show my subscribers like this belt. What is this belt?
Okay. So this belt here is my original classic belt, like the one that everyone wore. Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, everybody. Steve Reeves wore this style belt. It's just a plain leather belt. So what I did is I started collaborating with Tom Platz and his wife, and I do limited edition at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So to jump around, like as of 5 years ago, my nephew, who owns the nutrition store that we started when he was 20, I brought lasering. So he's like a laser artist. So now that has taken me to another level, because usually it takes 8 to 12 weeks to get a custom belt. Now with this capability, you can quickly give somebody a gift, like within 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed my game, and he does an amazing job. So he does these for Tom. Tom signs them, and they sell them. But this is one for your giveaway, and this is one of the most popular ones. Big Beyond Belief, and you have your 5 more reps. Yep.
And then you told me that another belt you want to give away. Like we have Jay Cutler.
Who?
Jay Cutler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Autograph belt.
Yep.
Also.
Yep. Whatever you want. Like I said, you have Phil. So whatever you want to give to your audience, you guys I'll be gone, but you keep doing your thing, and I'll keep taking care of you.
Thank you so much.
We want to make everyone happy over here.
Yeah, in South, this is gonna be the biggest giveaway I ever seen in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm really happy about that. I'm really honored.
Yep.
And few things I want to mention more.
Yep.
This is also the
Squat shoe.
squat shoes.
Yep.
This is collaboration with the Squat University, right?
Yep. Aaron. Yep.
Yeah,
He designed those.
yeah. It looks very solid, and I think this gonna be also. This
Yep.
could be the giveaway.
Yes.
Oh,
Maybe. Yeah. Whatever. That's fine. Yep.
oh man, I can't even imagine how happy my subscribers are.
Right.
Are gonna.
Well, I really want to. Like again, this is a beautiful country.
Yeah.
The people are they're into fitness, and I want to make a bigger impact on the industry here. So, if you can help be my vehicle,
Yeah.
go to it.
People are waiting for the giveaway.
Yes.
This podcast will come out like next week, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so you want to shout out to some South Korean company,
Yep.
like Monster Gyms. You've been working with them, like you told me that
20 years is the anniversary this year. So
20 years.
they've been supplying South Korea for 20 years, and like you said, the past 10 years it increased, and then 5 years after that, it's increased even more. And they've done a great job, and they're great partners. We've been loyal to each other, and it's all good.
I didn't even know that Monster Gym company is over than 20 years. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was just I went back because I wanted to do something for them, and I traced it back to 20 years. So they probably just started when they probably were just starting when we started business. I really don't even remember how we connected, but it was a good connection.
And then another country like major sport. Right?
Yeah, major sport. Yeah, what happened there is Monster Gym carries part of my brand.
Yeah.
And then now this new company of mine, Major Sport, they carry the other belts that Monster Gym doesn't carry. So between the two of them, we can take care of all of Korea.
So those two company is
My authorized,
authorized,
yes,
confirmed companies.
yes.
Got it. Oh, we totally understand.
So whatever you see with these two people, it's my product. I know in this country they some people get questioned on is authentic. So I control the distribution. I don't sell, so I can tell you that those two companies are strictly Cardillo and authorized dealers of mine.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And another company you want to introduce to South Korean subscribers.
Yeah. So what happened was in the early 90s, I was nylon weight belts were a big part of the industry. So I was at the time I really wasn't a big fan of it because the support really comes from the web. But it's really not. It gives you that like training your stomach to give the abdomen pressure, giving you something to push against. So hindsight later on, I realized the value of it, but I still wasn't a fan of it. And then TYR, which is TIR, is a huge company in the world. There's like 28 Olympic gold medalists in this year's Olympics from swimming. So 5 years ago, they crossed over into the CrossFit industry, into the shoes. And that's where they did the collaboration with Squat University in the shoes. So they're making a huge impact on the CrossFit world. And they wanted to do a collaboration with me with bringing back the nylon weight belt. So it was a perfect opportunity for me to partner up with one of the top two. Speedo and TIR are the two top companies in the whole world for swimming. So we partnered together, a great company. I love their shoes. That's what I wear. I wear the stuff because I like it. But then they hit me with they want to do the collaboration on the belt, and it was a perfect time to bring this weight belt back. So I think in January, this will be available to I would say the CrossFit community.
Is that could be a giveaway as well?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen someone's love this belt more than leather belt. I've seen someone, like a little bit fat guy maybe.
I mean, there's a place for it in the industry.
Yeah.
I like it, but I'm just old school. But CrossFit, where they're doing multiple things, different movements, it's the right mix for those guys.
Yeah.
So I'm positioning it in my business for that audience. I'm still not gonna. I wouldn't. A bodybuilder could wear it, but bodybuilding, powerlifting, I feel the leather training belt, power belt are the belts for that
totally
type of
agree.
training.
Yeah,
Yes,
totally agree.
but I'm glad that I'm getting back into the CrossFit world because it was a big part of my business in the 90s.
Sure. So, last question is, what is your future plan? We want to hear about your future plan. You've been doing this for almost 30, not almost 30 years already. So
I'm coming on 40. 2 more years will be 40 years.
Yeah.
Right. So, what's my future?
Yeah.
I'm hoping, like I said, I wake up every day and wanting to take that 15-hour flight to South Korea to promote my business. That's my first goal is to make sure I wake up to want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I personally would like to get it to the half a century, 50 years. I think I'm capable. I'm hoping, physically and mentally to do this, and then, work it. I want to work it into my family. I have nephews, I have nieces, and it's kind of open. If they've seen how I live, if they have that passion and drive, and just to keep taking it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first generation, so there's plenty of opportunity, and they would be starting their journey a lot higher than starting from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's better because I think it will be better because they have with social media, they have a better view of what the future is going to hold. I'm still old school, but it works for me. But I listened to when someone told me 10 years ago, my co-host, my Tran, she told me, Steve, you got to get on social media. So with that being said, I started to, I was older, but I still said, okay, this makes sense. So I kind of backed my mind up to being younger in the brain and did my marketing. And it's the best thing, you could do. But people in their 40s, 35s, they're not going to be good at social media. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking for the next phase of where the future is going to be, you need that young blood in there. And that's kind of the goal. But I want to get through one day at a time. You know what I mean? And try it. 40, I guess, would be the next. 40 is the next goal. It's a year and a half away. 40 is a long time.
Amazing.
Yes.
I never imagined that I could see you in person when I first bought Cardillo belt.
Here we are.
Now I have you on my podcast. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So thanks for.
And you can also you can give one of those away too.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw this on your website. It's like $2,200.
Yeah. They're made in Italy by
이거 300만 원입니다, 여러분. 근데 이것까지 기버웨이로.
They're made by a big I can't disclose, but my partner in Italy, a big bag company.
Ooh.
So I do it for Christmas, for holiday, only like 6 weeks of the time of the year. I release them. So we'll give one of those away too. That's Sue right now, but I got another one. I'm gonna send you another. I'll send you another package.
Yeah,
next
I'm
week.
gonna send what I need.
Yeah. You tell me what you need,
it,
but so that will be for one of your women listeners, maybe, or
Maybe
guys
this
to
is
give
gonna
to
be
his
the
girlfriend or his
first
wife.
prize.
Yes. Okay. Whatever
Maybe.
you want. Yep.
Oh wow.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
But again, I want to thank you for having me.
No.
It's been an honor.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful country. The people are great. All your whole team, Vinay, Sue, Kay, everyone has been the new guys. I haven't met them yet, but they all seem to be good, and I appreciate it. And it's a beautiful country.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
네, 여러분 카딜로였습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you so much.
Was it okay?
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, fun to watch.
You sure?
Yeah, sure.
Again, I don't do these.